Guardians of Christ Kingdom here on Earth. Welcome back. This Guardian Mo is back online. So there's this video that's been doing the absolute rounds on social media. It's been circulating all over Twitter X and YouTube, and a lot of YouTube channels have done their commentaries on this 1 minute, very short video. It's an altercation between a group of people, and apparently one guy reported, called the police on another guy who allegedly told them to speak English or to speak clearly. And I want to do a commentary on this. If you haven't watched the video, I'll pop it up on screen for you right now.
You may have filmed some of this interaction with the mayor. No? Because if you do, that would be really handy for us. But apparently during some conversations between yourself, apparently you have alleged, we weren't here, so I don't know you've said it, but you've alleged to say, speak English? Or was that effect?
Speak clearly.
Speak clearly.
No,
Okay.
the gentleman's partially deaf.
Yeah, he can speak clearly.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even hear him.
No, and that's fine, and that's why we've just come to speak, because potentially someone could perceive that as a hate crime.
Didn't we just know this was going to happen?
No, I
didn't
know.
People, you know, if someone says to me, officer, I believe this, then we need to look at it, because someone's potentially reporting to me a big crime.
I'm not sure whether I'm laughing at this, whether I feel that this is amusing, or whether I feel infuriated by this whole situation unfolding. Someone reported to the police for an alleged hate crime of daring to tell them to speak English. I've got two issues with this. The first issue is that whenever we watch these videos, whenever this pops up on our feed, it reinforces the idea that there's this demonization towards white people going on. A demonization towards white people, demonization towards English-speaking people, towards the Western world, Western civilization in general. Anything to do with straight white males, conservatism, traditional values, Christianity, Western civilization, anything to do with that. We've got to topple the system, and the police seem, whenever they're called in to investigate on anything related to Christians preaching on the streets, or you hear about this and that, this situation involving an altercation between white indigenous Brits and ethnic minorities. It seems like the police take it incredibly seriously, yet they're not there to solve actual crimes. They're not there to solve those serious, severe crimes committed by people of a certain demographic. And you know who I'm talking about. People of ethnic minorities, or belonging to the religion of peace. People thrashing about with kitchen knives or ramming cars into crowds of people. Serious crimes that need to be solved. And this just reminds people how two-tier policing actually does exist, and that the government, our authorities, our police are not in support for the indigenous people of this country, and that there's simply this demonization, as I said, going on towards people at the top of the food chain, if you know what I mean. And there's these left-wing, snowflakey, rainbow colour, the ones I'm talking about, those people who belong to the left-wing side of the political, cultural spectrum, who just want to see the system go down. They want to spread hatred and demonization towards white people, towards English-speaking people, towards Western civilization itself. And that these sorts of hate crimes and reporting people to the police simply for these minuscule microaggressions is a way to get back at white people, or simply to further their own left-wing agenda. This gives them the perfect excuse to do that. And it's totally unreasonable. It's totally unfair on people who just want to express their freedom of speech. Another issue I have with this, the second issue, is that this encourages snitching behaviour. I've been talking about this a lot. There's a lot of ambiguity with the whole definition of a hate crime. Now, if there is a crime that is committed on the grounds of discriminating someone's identity based on their religion, their skin colour, their affiliation, their, anything to do with race or religion and sensitive topics, that should be punished, and that should be called out for. Genuinely, yes, we can all agree on that. You know, no one should be tolerating racism in this country. No one should be tolerating religious discrimination or sexism, and I totally will get behind that. But with the whole ambiguity of defining what a hate crime really is, it gives people, especially the people, those snowflakey, rainbow-colored left-wing people, those weak, crybabies, it gives them an excuse to report people to the police for the tiniest, most minuscule microaggressions that trigger all sorts of unconscious biases, situations, and anything that hurts their feelings, hurty words, offensive messages, anything that causes offense to a person and it affects their emotional state or causes them, triggers harassment, alarm, or distress. That can be reported to the police, and that could lead to potential arrest. This is the problem that I have with it. It's so ambiguous to the point where people are now scared of what they're saying online. People are now scared of having a tiny altercation with someone out on the streets, simply because of simply for their freedom of speech or simply for existing. You know, if telling someone to speak English is a hate crime, how far down the rabbit hole are you willing to go to call on a hate crime for even speaking English? What, is speaking English going to be a hate crime? When's the next hate crime going to be? Is it going to be involving driving a petrol car? Football fans cheering for Arsenal, is that going to be a hate crime? Someone holding up a pint of beer or holding up an English flag, is that now a hate crime? Hell, even a white indigenous Brit simply breathing, is that going to be a hate crime as well? Some people are just going to be so sensitive and so allergic, completely intolerant towards white people, towards people who are not of an ethnic background. You know the people who I'm talking about, those snowflakey people who are always offended on the behalf of people that they don't even know. They take offense on the behalf of people of an ethnic minority. As long as they're not a straight white male. As long as they're not a straight white male, they have every right, they have every entitlement to demonize people who are white, people who are straight white males, people who have an affiliation to conservative values or Western civilization, Western democracy. People like you and me who are watching this video. So those are the issues I have. If you're a white person and you're watching this, you're literally stepping on eggshells at this point, and you have to be teetering on the edge of being reported to the police simply due to your presence in front of a person of a certain demographic, of an ethnic minority. They will literally report you to the police for committing a hate crime, for daring to be present, to be in their presence as a white man. The UK is heading in a very dark direction, but as always, let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'm sorry for ranting for so long, but it had to be said, because this is getting ridiculous at this point. Anyhow, Guardy Mo's clocking out. I'll see you in the next video.